Hi guys, Cam here from Absolutely Fish. I'm over at the lab today and I figured we'd give you a walk around of the entire place, show you everything that's going on and sort of explain to you what sort of sets us apart from most other retail and e-tail stores. And that's that we produce a lot of our corals in-house here at our aquaculture lab. We also breed about 90% of the clownfish you'll see in store or on our website. Our equipment and filtration systems are all state-of-the-art with protein skimmers, ultraviolet sterilizers and calcium reactors on each coral system to make sure we provide the coral with the most natural, clean and growth stimulating environment. Once we've fragged the colonies, the frags go into one of our grow-out systems, where we monitor them and make sure that when they're shipped out, you'll be receiving a healthy specimen. This view of the frags underwater is just awesome. The next room over is our clownfish breeding room. This is where all the breeding, the egg laying takes place. We've got 4 loaded tanks full of amphipods on the back there. And then each of these top shelf tanks has a breeding pair. The system has a UV sterilizer running on it to keep the breeding pairs healthy. And then these 2 jugs you see here may not look like much, but they're actually our rotifer cultures. Rotifers are a type of live microinvertebrate that we cultivate to feed the newly hatched clownfish fry. When clownfish hatch, they're so small that you can't just give them pellets or powdered food. They need a live food source such as this. Let me see if I can get a flashlight into these containers so you can really appreciate just what is going on in here. Each of these tiny little white dots is an individual rotifer. Each of our breeding pairs will produce a new clutch of eggs every 2 weeks to a month, but it can take them a little while to get into a good rhythm. We track each batch of eggs, and so we know when to move them to a separate hatching tank. Mum and Dad are very protective of their eggs, checking in on them constantly and protecting them from scary hands trying to clean their tank. After about a week, the eggs are ready to be moved, and overnight the hatching process begins. Each of these hatching tanks has a batch of clownfish fry at various stages of growth. When they first hatch, we start them off on live rotifers, and then as they develop, we'll wean them onto live baby brine, and then eventually onto a powdered pellet food. This is definitely my favourite part of the lab, as we get to raise up hundreds of baby clownfish with each clutch of eggs, and there's always a little degree of variation amongst each clutch. You can tell these clowns have been eating live brine as their bellies are a bright orange colour. After a couple of months of growth and extra feedings, the clownfish are ready to be moved to our grow out room. Here, they're fed pellets, flakes and frozen food to make sure that they're ready for whatever type of food you are giving your aquarium at home. Here's a look at some of the different species and varieties that we're able to breed at the moment, including orange and black ocellaris, Percula, Da Vinci, Picasso, frostbite, snowflake, and so much more. Plus, we've got breeding pairs getting ready for future clutches, so stay tuned to see what we're able to breed next. Any of the clownfish, corals or equipment you see in these videos are available to you. Just go to fragscoralzoos.com and check out the selection of animals and equipment we can ship to you. Here's an odd sight, a tank riddled with pest anemone. If you watched our last video, we talked about how Aiptasia are a pest, but we actually use these as a food source. Any ideas for what? Here comes the dramatic reveal. We've begun breeding Bergia, a type of nudibranch that feeds on Aiptasia. These tiny little sea slugs are great for reef tanks that are struggling with Aiptasia. The egg spirals they lay are moved into different pots we monitor for hatching and growth. Now that we've settled into our new location, we've even begun breeding some freshwater creatures. At the moment, we're aquaculturing our own cherry shrimp and mollies, but we've got many more plans once we set up our freshwater system and racks. The plants in these tanks are even being harvested and taken back to the store as well. We've even got our own worm farm for anybody looking to buy locally grown earthworms. Ugh.